heads on spikes at moments. It is great and phenomenal and everyone should read it. Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Kizzy and today I'm going to be doing my February TBR. Now February is a short month, it's only 28 days and my TBR is huge. Much bigger than I normally read in a month, but I don't know, I like to have my books planned of what I'm going to read, but I also have goals that I need to achieve. So there's the books that I want to read kind of like now in this moment, and the books that I need to read in order to keep track of my 2022 goals. But then also there's so many books to read. I need to pick up the reading pace, I feel like, because I'm not reading fast enough to get through every book. So I have a very large TBR pile with a couple series that I want to finish, a couple standalones, a YA fantasy, classic, like ancient classic I want to read. So there's a little bit of everything in this reading TBR that I've got because I want to read a little bit of everything at the moment. Starting off with the classic that I want to read, that is one I picked. I picked a short one because I need to read a classic a month. I already haven't read one in January, so we're already behind. But I got the Aeneid in this beautiful edition for Christmas, and it's less than 300 pages long, and I don't really know the storyline. Like, obviously the Aeneid is kind of, I suppose, the ancient Roman version of Odysseus, or at least in my head that's kind of what I'm thinking it's like. I don't really know. I haven't studied the Aeneid as like I have the Odyssey or anything like that, nor have I read it. I've read the Odyssey twice, so I don't know what this is going to be like. I've heard a story about the Aeneid and Aeneas, and I think I've read an extract from it, but I haven't really read much else to do with it. So I'm excited to see what this is like, and it's obviously the beautiful penguin cloth bound edition, which is always lovely. And obviously you've got Dido in here, which is a very kind of important and interesting female character that is mentioned a lot when you study ancient classics or anything like that. Like, her name appeared a lot when I did my research, so I'm interested to see kind of her situated within the Aeneid and how she is in that. And I think I've read the chapter, but like as a standalone. Aeneas is obviously the Roman hero who goes off and he founds Rome, I want to say. I think he's the founder of Rome. I'm going to Google. Okay, I was slightly wrong. He is the founder of the Roman race, the mixed offspring of the native Italians and the Trojans. The city founded by his son was not Rome, but Alba Longa, a settlement that did have a strong connection with the early Rome. And it was there that Romulus and Remus were born many generations later, and I think they then founded Rome. So I knew he had a connection to the finding of Rome. So obviously he has quite a lot of importance in the kind of mythological grounding and theory behind Rome. So yeah, that is the classic that I want to read this month. And then I have quite a few adult fantasies that I want to read, including the finishing of a series, which is just, I'm so excited to get to this. Like, I think I'm going to start the month off with reading these because I'm so excited to finish these. Like, my colleague at work is reading them. She's now on the third book in the series, and she's just always raving about how phenomenal it is. And I've read the first book in the series, and I think that one of the first books is like one of my favourite books, and I think this is going to be one of my favourite series of all time if it keeps up the way I'm hoping it will be. It is great and phenomenal and everyone should read it, and it is the Joe Abercrombie series, The Blade Itself, where it starts with The Blade Itself. Then we have Before They Are Hanged, and then The Last Argument of Kings. This is obviously the next book in the series that I'll be reading, and then hopefully, I feel like I will get to the third book this month. These are probably the ones that I'm going to be kind of like mood reading, so I'm probably going to be in the mood to read. I'm a mood reader. This is the mood that I'm in right now. So I feel like I'm going to read these pretty soon, and definitely read these into February. It follows multiple characters in this world that's, I can't really explain, it's terrible. But we follow like Logan, who's this kind of barbarian from the north, but he's actually really soft, but he has a kind of dark history behind him, as he's kind of known for being really brutal and murderous and, you know, fighting for perhaps the wrong people. He fought for one of this head tribe person who basically took over the whole of the north by massacring and killing all the other tribes, and that got him like a really bad reputation, or like scary reputation, so we say. But then at the beginning of the book he's separated from his fellows and he's not part of that group anymore because like they're bad, and he's actually really bit of a bigger softie. But he gets separated and meets this weird magician dude that I don't know if we should trust, but he's on this journey and he's collecting all these people, and some of these other people that he's collecting to go on this journey to do something that I'm not sure what it is, because he hadn't really been explained it yet. We have Giselle, who's this really pompous, arrogant, thinks he's the most handsome, beautiful, amazing person in the whole kingdom, but he's actually just a bit crap, and is training kind of to win this tournament, this like fencing tournament. We also have Glocta, who is this inquisitor. He was tortured in the last war, captured and tortured, so he has a very negative perspective on the world. He's now a cripple because of the injuries he sustained there, and he is like kind of, I don't know if he's, I think he is good, but he just has been through a heck of a lot, and because of that he doesn't really care what he does. He is obviously working for the government at the moment, but he will just kind of like go along with the flow and their kind of negative corruptness, and use torture and means that aren't necessarily the nicest to get what he wants from the people that he has been told or is deemed are criminals. We also have, who else do we have? There's quite a few characters actually in it, but it's a very interesting world. There's these weird creatures called flatheads, which I imagined having like really flat heads, but then I googled like some fan art of it and they just look like normal humans, but I don't think they are. There's something going on with them basically that we're not sure about. So the first book was a lot of kind of like unsure kind of grounding work, so I'm really excited to see how it actually develops into like a full-on kind of like discovering what these things are and putting them all together, because it's so good. It's so good. It's funny, it's entertaining, a bit gruesome sometimes, like there's like serious fights on stuff and like heads on spikes at moments, but it's really good. So that is the fantasy series that I want to finish this month. One new release that I want to read this month is The Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, and this is the beautiful sprayed edge edition from Waterstones. We've sold out in the shop, but I don't know if it's still available online. If it is, I will link it below. If not, I'll link like the normal version, but it is a beautiful book even without that. So read the first like 2 pages of this book and I think it'll be really interesting to read. I also then want to kind of, once I read this, I want to delve into the actual like original myth, because it is inspired by the Chinese legend, the Mid-Autumn legend, which is about goddess and the moon, or the moon goddess, the goddess that turns into a moon, the moon goddess, and she is the mother obviously of the main character, I believe, in this story. So I'm interested to see how it kind of compares to the original myth and like how it transfers over, because that's what I really love about retellings, is like knowing the original and seeing how it's changed or how they've decided to re-emphasize bits and that kind of thing. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do that this month and we'll see how this one goes. Like, it's very anticipated. I've read a few or watched a few YouTubers that have enjoyed reading it. Hopefully I'll enjoy this too. It sounds like it's something I would like. And then to kind of break up the heavy adult fantasy that I'm reading, I've picked a YA fantasy that I haven't read a lot of YA fantasy recently. It's not a huge genre of mine that I'm delving into recently, but this sounded so good. It is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. Still haven't read anything by Marissa Meyer. I feel like this might be the one that I want to delve into. It is a sensational reimagining of Rumpelstiltskin as you've never seen it before. I don't actually know I'm too familiar with the Rumpelstiltskin story. Might have to refresh myself on that. Refresh myself? What the hell? Refresh myself on that as well. I only kind of like knowledge of Rumpelstiltskin is from like Shrek. But there you go. I might have to delve myself into that story as well before I go into this, just like briefly kind of read a wrap up or something. I think it's got a little bit of romance in it. Oh, I think maybe. According to the blurb, there is a kiss mentioned. So, cursed by the god of lies, a miller's daughter has developed a talent for storytelling, but are all her tales as false as they appear? When one of Cyrilda's stories draws the attention of the devastating Erkling, she finds herself swept away into a world of enchantment where ghouls prowl the earth and ravens track her every move. The king locks Cyrilda in a castle dungeon and orders her to spin straw into gold, or be killed for lying. In despair, Cyrilda unwittingly summons a mysterious young man to her aid, and he agrees to help her for a price. But love wasn't meant to be part of the bargain. So I think it'll be kind of like a softy like little fantasy retelling romance thing that kind of like breaks up the month. Then a book that I meant to read this month for my book club book that we're meant to be trying to do, which is failing because no one's reading the book, including myself. I think one person has, or tried to, but that is The Secret History by Donna Tart. I was really excited to read this when I picked it, but then I got into a really big fantasy reading mood at the moment, and I'm just not in the mood to read present, like, in this world books. So I haven't really been interested in picking this up. Obviously everyone loves this book, or a lot of people love this book. It's always recommended, it's always raved about. We sell about a dozen copies of it in the store every day. Well, maybe not every day, but like a lot. We sell a lot of this. So I know it will be good, and I have read the first 8 pages. I just haven't then gone picked up. I think because the first chapter was like really long. It's like 30 pages the first chapter, 50 pages the first chapter. It's really long, the first chapter. Where are you? Hello? I can't find it, and I'm on page 50. There we go. 49. Page 49 is chapter 2, so literally 50 pages long. And I just don't know what it was that I just didn't want to kind of sit down and read this when I decided to. So this is my goal to read this month. I will get to it at some point. Like, I know I will, hopefully this month. I just need to force myself, dive into it, get stuck in, read the first like 100 pages, and then I'll be into it. I know it will happen, so yes. And then the last little thing that I want to read this month, it's a really short story in this compendium of short stories. Is that the right word? Or collection. In this collection of short stories by Brandon Sanderson, it is kind of like to do with the Cosmere and little bits and bobs, and I'm terrible at reading the short stories, but I finished a series that I will talk about in the next video because that will be the wrap up, and I need to know what happens, and I've been told that there is a kind of a hint or a bigger reveal to make sense at the end of that series in the Mistborn Secret History. So I'm gonna read that. I think it's like 200 pages long. Hopefully I will do that. I might do that. Should I do that before diving back into the Blade Itself world? I don't know. Maybe I will get that over with. Not get it over with, that sounds like it's a chore, but get that kind of completed, that series and that whole thing done, and then I can start with a fresh slate going into the Blade Itself and just immerse myself in that world as well. Maybe I'll do that. There we have my TBR for this month. There is quite a few books there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and like a short story that's still 160, 70, 90 pages long. So a lot of reading to be done this month, but I have a lot of time, I feel like, to do this. I'm feeling confident. Hopefully it will work. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Let me know in the comments below if you were here, and I will hopefully see you in the next video very soon.